What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Culture FC, the weekly soccer show where we discuss all culturally significant topics related to the beautiful game of soccer. That includes lifestyle, fashion, music, politics, and everything in between. The only thing we do not cover are all the things that are actually happening on the pitch, including scores, cards, injuries, etc., etc., etc. My name's Alan. I'm here joined by two beautifully handsome men named Louis. Louis, say hi.
Hello.
And Brendan. Brendan, say what's up.
What's up, world?
So, let's get into it for this week. First topic, we're going to be talking Balon D'or. As you may or may not know, this year, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Good old Christy.
Winner. Fifth time to tie Messi. And quickly, just wanted to get your thoughts on him winning. Did he deserve it? Did he not deserve it? Who would you replace him with? And that.
This year, he by far deserved it way more than Messi did. So this was for 2017.
2016, 2017.
This was 2016, 2017. So, I mean, they won the Champions League,
Yep.
which is, pretty much the biggest thing they could have won. So, clearly, he was a big factor in that. He scored over 50 goals in a calendar year as well. So, he definitely deserved it. The last two World Cups, actually, will say he deserved it a lot more so than Messi did. Just because, Portugal won the Euros last year. And so,
He stood on his head throughout the Euros. He did pretty good.
Yeah, and so...
He was the reason they got to the final. Obviously,
right. He didn't play the final, but he got them there.
They wouldn't even be close. I think he had that one game where he scored 2 goals to qualify them.
Well, yeah, because in the group stages, they were not looking great, and he was able to bring it back.
He brought them... Yeah, so I agree with that.
So, I mean, for me, I think the last two, 100% deservedly, he should have won them. I don't know, B, what do you think?
I think he definitely should have won it based on what we just talked about. I will be 100% honest. I don't often follow Balon D'or very well. So for some of our listeners, including me, I guess that doesn't play a huge role into my life as a football fan. So if you could, boys, just give a quick background of Balon D'or. I know it's the best footballer in the world.
The Balon D'or went through a really interesting period where originally for its entire existence, it was done by journalists with this French magazine. So Balon D'or means golden ball in French. And so then FIFA kind of bought it, kind of did this weird hybrid thing with their best in the world. So for the longest time, FIFA would award a best in the world trophy, and then Balon d'Or was the one given by the French magazine. But the Balon d'Or was always seen as the higher valued one because it was voted on by journalists, it was voted on by everybody. So it wasn't a thing. A lot of people said it got a little sketchy when FIFA owned it.
Well, ever since they took over, it started becoming a player voted.
Okay.
So player coaches. So a lot of it's funny you bring that up because it has been losing a lot of its credibility just because it has become sort of this popularity contest where people will vote for their teammates obviously Messi and Ronaldo are always going to be in contention, but players are just voting on who they like more.
Yeah.
Versus actually paying attention and watching what they're doing every
losing
day.
A lot of credibility because of that, which I think the original idea of it being voted by players makes sense because they're players and they understand the game better than anyone else, and coaches obviously.
But they also don't watch as much soccer as a journalist does.
But you're involved. I think as a player, you always know what everyone's doing. It's just if it's a part of your nature, you just know how everyone is doing as a player.
Yeah,
if you're comparing the best players in the world, you're going to be knowing kind of how they're doing always, just because you're always asked about it anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess what constitutes is it a voting system? I know.
So what happens is it's points based. So what happens is every it's not every player. It's the managers and captains.
Okay. Of every team in Europe.
Yep. And so and then it all gets aggregated with journalist votes as well. So all the journalists in this society of this organization get a vote, but then it's every of national teams. It's every coach of every national team and every captain of every national team gets to vote, and then it all gets aggregated into a point system of first gets 3 points, second get or some weird point system like that where first gets a bunch, a second gets a little, and third gets whatever, and they aggregate it up, put it up, and then that's how they decide a winner. But the funny thing that happened was, after a period of like close to 10 years of FIFA and Balon d'Or being the same award, this last year they split it off again. Now the Balon d'Or went back to its roots, so a lot of people are actually praising it, saying that it's back to where it needed to be, because that's how it should be. It should be owned by that. Like FIFA shouldn't have, especially with all the FIFA corruption charges and everything like that. There were a lot of people crying foul for close to 10 years of who was winning the Balon d'Or. And so this past year, FIFA created the best. They are fucking awful with their names. They created an award called FIFA the Best. That's the actual. The name of the award is the best. Not even.
Did they already announce the winners?
Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo won the best. He won the first the best award.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
It's not like he won. It's called
best
he won the FIFA the best award. So if you ever say the FIFA, you have to then say the best award. So the FIFA the best award.
The best FIFA. The best FIFA.
The best. He's the best FIFA. The award best.
Yeah. And then I saw that the point system spread this year. Cristiano Ronaldo came in first with 946 points. Lionel Messi 670. Neymar 361. Yeah. Buffon 221, and then it drops off to Modric getting 84.
Yeah. So the thing that a lot of people, back to like the whole people getting upset about the Balon d'Or thing, I can remember a couple instances where I've looked at it, especially when FIFA was on the award, that it didn't make any sense to me. Back I can remember the very specific occurrence of 2010. The people going up for the award were Messi, Wesley Sneijder, and some other fucker that I can't remember. And Wesley Sneijder lost, despite the fact that his Inter won I'm pretty sure it was a treble, correct? That they won in with Jose Mourinho. They won the treble, and then he made it to the final of the World Cup against Spain, and he played phenomenal. He was phenomenal that tournament. He was good for a full calendar 12-month year, and Messi still won it.
Yeah. So my thing with that, I always think that like regular season obviously matters. But except for World Cup years are the exception in my mind, because in my mind the World Cup, it's whoever has the best World Cup, which I'd still kind of agree Sneijder, but that year should have been Iniesta for me.
I can accept that.
If you win your World Cup for your nation,
that is gotta be
that's the biggest. I mean, that's the biggest competition. If you're MVP of that tournament, you should get MVP, just because that's the biggest thing that's going to happen that year. So that's my issue with that. The rest of the years, I don't really have any contest, just because, again, I think the World Cup is the only exception in my mind. For domestic competitions, it's so hard. Obviously, Champions League weighs some, but it's also funny how only European players get considered for best in the world. So it's hard to really gauge it. Like, why is Europe the best in the world?
Right.
Obviously, the competition might be a little, but competition in South American countries is ridiculous as well.
It is.
You've never. I mean, it's hard to see the same team win back to back to back.
Because they don't.
Whereas in some countries, Barca, Real Madrid, they'll win back to back to back. So there is some type of. There's definitely a higher scale. There's a higher weight for playing in Europe. So I think for the rest of those seasons, I don't really have an issue between who won it between Messi or Ronaldo, because they were the best.
Yeah.
So let me open up a question, because the Balon d'Or is an individual award, right? It's like, who is the best player in the world? But soccer isn't a game like, I think soccer is such a team sport, more so than a lot of other sports, that it's also like, can you quantify goals as the measure of the best player? Because sometimes if you're scoring goals, you're set up by teammates, right? So midfielders notoriously get no love,
right?
Ever in these votings, especially in the last 10 years. They don't get love. You may not have the best stats, but this was before this statistical analytical thing kind of grasped onto the world. I think that, I know that Ronaldo and Messi do a lot for their teams. But my question is, when it gets down to it, some midfielders just don't get the love, because that. So I'm sorry. Let me backtrack. Let me put my question in a more easily answerable way. Do you think that just goals scored should mean that you're the best player in the world?
No, I don't. But unfortunately, that's just the way that it's considered for almost every single sport. Basketball.
Most points scored,
NFL, who is it? The quarterback usually, or the guy that's good, or the running back?
Like, when was the last time an NFL MVP wasn't a quarterback?
Right. So it's just the way the mentality is. I don't necessarily agree, because there are players that if you're going to look at them just playing, they're the most technically able, but they're just not going to get the goals, right? I think that it's been hard in this last 10 years because Messi and Ronaldo have been alive.
Right.
Even if they weren't necessarily scoring goals, like when they're in the slump, they still have all eyes on them. Like they're still a guy that every team puts 2-3 players to cover. They're still a guy that they go into practice every week. They have a plan to stop this guy. They're still the it factor for these teams, which has kind of, looking back, it's hard to be like, oh, but maybe he deserved it other than those a couple of exceptions we brought up. I don't see... I mean, like, Zidane, midfielder, and you know what I mean? Best player in the world.
Everyone was of agreement that Zidane was one of the best players in history.
Kaká when he won.
So he was the last. They say the last human to win, and he was an attacking midfielder.
He did score a lot of goals, I won't say, but he wasn't scoring at the ratio that.
No,
Messi was.
The rate
his
that
numbers were more human.
They were
more
yeah,
human, like,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think that midfielders should be shown less love, or even defenders.
Right. Last time a defender won was in 2002 with Cannavaro, or 2004 with Cannavaro.
So he won it, last defender. Goalkeepers don't get shown that much
ever,
love,
which is rough because it's like
they're still part of the team, but they're considered. They have their own best keeper.
Yeah,
so
De Gea had 15 points.
Yeah.
Oh, for Balon d'Or?
Yeah,
he was voted
20th.
De Gea was 20th in the world, but I think that for goalkeepers he wasn't like ranked or something.
Really?
Some crazy way that they like ranked it.
It's like, yeah, you're there, but you're not.
Yeah, dude, I saw this thing that they were saying that De Gea was like the 8th best keeper in the world, and I literally want to be like, you're blind.
Yeah, and he was voted the second best keeper behind Buffon for the just overall.
In the Balon d'Or, yet this other French magazine said that he was
Buffon
the
came 4th though.
So basically, what happened was in the Balon d'Or voting, but Buffon was 4th, and De Gea was right behind him as the next keeper. Correct?
So here's another thing: is Buffon the 4th best player in the world?
No way. No way.
So
no, because it's his last season, and people probably like, yo, let's vote for him.
There's an issue with like it's the can we get Kobe into the playoff into the All-Star game just because it's his last season type of thing. It's that stupid
right, which is why I'm actually very happy that they were able to split the awards again, and move it a little further away, because everyone was crying foul. I was too. I'm like, this is kind of ridiculous. Why do these people keep getting love? Mostly because I'm not a big fan of Messi, both from a Manchester United and Brazil supporter standpoint. I don't like the guy, but it's also like there were some years where he won that I'm like, really? Should he have?
Did you think that?
I did. Well, like I said, the one with Schneider
it was wrong
in 2010.
Yeah, other than
that one,
season,
that was the year that if you would look at me and said Iniesta,
any...
no, I could. See, that was just me being petty. But the one season that I have a footing where I know for sure was 2010.
I'll give you that one. Although he won it the season that Argentina went to the World Cup, right?
2014, yeah. But he wasn't even the best player on his Argentina team. Angel Di Maria was the best player back in 24 at the Brazil World Cup.
That was the year that Di Maria won Real Madrid the Champions League as well.
Yeah, dude, that was the year that Angel Di Maria got no love because he was the one.
so more than we were thinking.
Angel Di Maria brought Real Madrid through that whole process, got them, and won man of the match in the Champions League final. Brought them to that point. Goes to the World Cup. He carried Argentina because Messi wasn't showing up that tournament. Yet somehow Messi still wins best player of the tournament, despite the fact that he wasn't even the best player on his own team.
Yeah.
So it's like you have that bias. I get it. You have marketable athletes, but like you can't give him every award just because it builds your marketing value. FIFA, like that's not okay.
Because Messi even won best player of the tournament.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. From the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, the man won the Golden Ball award, and yet he wasn't even the best player on his own team.
Because I remember now the picture of him winning the award, but being so sad.
He looked
he knew he didn't really deserve it.
Yeah. Then again, they did just lose the World Cup final, so you know.
But it's just like I feel like the picture kind of showed a lot of just how. It seemed like he really looked at it and was like, I don't need this.
Yeah, I shouldn't have won this.
Yeah.
I may be wrong 100%, but I think, didn't he come out and say that he didn't even think he should have won it? I don't remember that.
Honestly, the way he looked, I just have this vivid picture of him. The way he looked, he 100% could have said that because he just looked so distraught and more like he wanted to win the World Cup as opposed to winning that stupid award.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
What would you rather, though? Win a World Cup or
100%. So that was my question is, now I want to lead this to another place about the Balon d'Or. As from a cultural standpoint, what does the Balon d'Or equate to? Because for a long time, a lot of people were saying that that Ronaldo or Messi were never going to win a major tournament. Ronaldo was able to break that because they won the Euros, and he was a big part of that. So I actually think that in history, if both of them were to retire tomorrow, I personally think Ronaldo will go down as the better player because of tournament success.
Yeah.
I think Ronaldo is looked down upon more because he isn't the natural footballer that Messi is.
Right.
So Messi technically, and by the way, when I say technically, I mean like touches on the ball,
skill-wise,
control, levels beyond Ronaldo.
Right.
But Ronaldo as an athlete, as a better athlete, is levels above Messi.
Yeah.
So that's and that's where there's a distinction, because I don't think that there necessarily is a better version of a soccer player because
it's how the team fits it.
Because the sport is so diverse. If you're a striker that only lives in the box,
you're going to build your team around that.
You should only be considered by those attributes,
right?
And not by if you can dribble 50 yards with the ball at your feet. So I think that because people look at it and they're like, but Messi can dribble the ball little touches better than Ronaldo. Sure.
But if they were to outsprint each other, Ronaldo's going to beat him every time in a straight sprint.
So it's a different game. And I think that a lot of people... I used to have this hatred for Messi as well. And then I realized that there's no reason to. Like, yes, there is a reason to, because I root for teams that are against him. But in terms of, like, Messi versus Ronaldo, they're both phenomenal players, and we're so lucky that we get to see them play day in, day out, and enjoy them for who they are, because I don't think that there's going to be a rivalry like this for, I don't want to say ever because that's crazy, but for a very long time.
Right.
Because in the foreseeable future, I think next year, this coming year, depending on how Neymar does, World Cup and PSG, it's his year.
So I personally think that here's where I'm going to be really upset with the Balon d'Or. If hypothetically Neymar wins the Champions League with PSG, because their team is stacked. Like, you look at that team, they're phenomenal, right? If they win the Champions League and Brazil even make it close to the final, if they make it to, even if they lose the final and they still and Neymar still doesn't win Balon d'Or, that's where I think it's a little messed up. But
depends, because it's a World Cup year.
So that's fair. It depends.
My gauge of it is if someone has a great World Cup.
So let's pretend that it ends up being let's say on the other hand, Neymar and PSG beat Barcelona in the final of the Champions League, but then Neymar loses to Messi in the final of the World Cup. Then fine, give it to Messi. But so basically, I think that what you said is important. Players are different, and I think that because soccer, and this is going back to my earlier question, because soccer is such a team sport, and the teams are built around each other, I think that it's such a hard thing to quantify, because it's not like in basketball where it's like, they're all point guards. What's the best point guard? It's like there's so many different variations of a striker. There's so many different variations of what a forward is. You could play false nine. You could have wingers. You could have so many different things. And each team, because of team success, is built around that player. So, for example, Ronaldo for the longest time was a winger at United, right? And so the teams were kind of built around him to supplement him as a winger. And so, every year, though, since that has happened, the team adapts to him and they still keep winning. Yeah. So it's hard to quantify that because the players are different.
Another issue, too, is the fact that we know who everyone voted for. Yeah. So if I'm Neymar and I have to choose between Messi and Ronaldo, if I put Ronaldo down on my ballot, that's a problem. Yeah. Because then when that comes out, every reporter and their mother is coming up to me and saying, "So you think Ronaldo's better than your teammate?" And so that causes that rift where it might not necessarily be. They're trying to make it open and apparent to everyone that.
But it also became like throwaway votes.
It's also like, I have to vote for my guy because or else that's going to could cause a problem
at practice.
So.
Well, there was not to interrupt again, but like there was a guy who just straight up did throwaway votes because he was like, I'm not voting for anybody, I'm voting for my teammates, and you're like, your teammates were not good. Like, what do you mean? And so that's the other thing. It's like it's hard. I know there's no perfect system. I get it, but at the same time, it's like clearly the one right now may not be working as well as it should be. But then again, like I said, it comes down to all the things we just discussed. It's such a difficult thing to quantify.
Yeah, and kind of spinning away from this and not Ronaldo now getting the Balon d'Or cleats.
So moving on to the fun stuff.
And the Nike Airs.
The Air Forces?
So nice.
So,
you guys got it. So the Nike Air Forces have like a gold-plated swoosh, which is, I mean, I would probably never wear them because they're kind of gaudy. Yeah. But for him, they're sweet. I think that he pulls them off.
There's a picture of him wearing it, and he just
are actually so this picture here.
Very gaudy, dude.
Yeah,
super
but
gaudy.
But it's Cristiano Ronaldo. He could you know,
But what I will say is the cleats that they came out for them
are sick.
amazing.
They're so sick. The white and gold
I love
with the neck collar and
when
the
they do the
ankle collar.
commemorative cleats for the players. I think it's such a nice little touch.
And Adidas. There was a year they made one for Messi that I actually hated. I hate it. But this
Ugly.
looks great.
This one, the
White gold. It has nice semblance, and it's
kinda
like
reminds me of one of the classic Vapors that came out, the old school one with like the white and yellow.
yeah.
I don't know if you
Okay.
remember,
Yeah.
Like the Ronaldo R9 era type of Vapors. So that's cool. I'm surprised that Nike doesn't come out with more shoes for Ronaldo.
You would think that he's
Because
one of the most
is
marketable
the
athletes.
biggest athlete, I think, in him, LeBron. But if you look at,
I thought
it's funny that LeBron gets so many more sneakers. Obviously, basketball is a little more sneaker centric than soccer.
But soccer, like
Ronaldo's reach is significantly further than LeBron's.
Oh yeah, and talking about basically the whole topic of this podcast is about how culture and how soccer impacts culture. For if Nike just created a nice sneaker that was the Cristiano Ronaldo sneaker, it would sell because people.
Right. I don't think. Yeah, he's never gotten his own signature. Like he doesn't have like the LeBron sneaker.
He has the signature
They gave
cleats,
him the,
but like
Air Max 97s like a few months ago.
but they didn't
which I
name
thought
them
was
after
dope.
him.
Right.
They're
they
still
weren't-
called the Air
they-
Max's
they were
97s.
97. They were just the colorway. It was like another gold colorway. It's like he just loves gold. But it was commemorative for him. Him in like his hometown of Madeira in Portugal. But still, I feel like soccer
He
players
should
don't
definitely
get
get his
those
own
kicks.
shoe. He should get his own kicks. Because think about it, like
Now that I think of it, Adidas doesn't have a guy that they give. I think they have a. They have like a.
well, a lot of what they
Well,
do is they'll take a cleat, and make
They
it
might
into
have,
a trainer.
They might have a one. I remember seeing one. It was for. I want to say it was Beckenbauer or something. So that might be the only signature like shoe, like street shoe I've seen from any, which is amazing.
Well,
These guys have crazy reach.
They have crazy reach, and Cristiano Ronaldo is known in every country in the whole world. Why wouldn't Nike
he's
give him?
especially known not only for football but for how stylish he is.
Right.
I mean, he's
Yo,
more
he's done he does-
metrosexual than most men.
But he's done stuff with
the dude has
Armani.
style.
He's done stuff with like these high end
Yeah.
like brands. So my thing is like, all right, so in basketball, they have they wear sneakers on the court. So I kind of get that point. But think about it, the people buying the sneakers, they're not rocking them. No one's about to buy like you might not buy a pair of brand new LeBrons to go play basketball. You might be like,
Yeah,
they're gonna get
just to
scuffed
wear
up.
them,
I'm
right.
gonna wear my LeBrons to go out or whatever. So why not create a sneaker for Cristiano Ronaldo? Because
I'm
people
so
wear them every
surprised that They
day.
don't take advantage of that more.
Because that would be bridging that gap of culture and lifestyle with soccer.
He makes his own sneaker.
He has his own sneaker.
I don't think it's a sneaker. I think it's like a casual shoe, like
Oh, okay.
Because I don't think he'd be able to make sneakers because it would.
It's
Go
kind of
against
difficult.
Nike.
Probably.
But he does. I think he does like casual, like dress up shoes. I mean, he does underwear.
Yeah, he has his own line of
Surprised
underwear
he's
and
allowed
stuff
to
like
do that, honestly.
Right.
But maybe it's because Nike doesn't see that
But-
as his market.
And
which
so
is
maybe,
crazy.
maybe it's a thing of like we don't know his agreement with Nike or anything, but then it comes down to maybe not him as an example, but even Adidas doesn't make a signature Messi shoe, and that would be
That's what I'm saying.
that'd be
Right.
crazy.
Came out, I mean, the Paul Pogba stuff, but there was no shoes.
But the thing
But
is
it's
with
still
that
not-
is that
it's not
they
like
they
his
have
signature
but they what they
too.
always
I don't know.
'Cause
It's still not. I guess it's really not the same.
because what they do with soccer is they'll create a cleat and then create like a sneaker version of the cleat, and they think, oh, that's enough, but it's not because no one wants to wear the sneaker version of a cleat. You're gonna want to rock
Pogba
the
was not going to wear that out.
No, he's gonna rock other kinds of sneakers. You know what I mean? He's probably gonna wear stuff like, and so I don't get it. Like, why not take the dedicated time and be like, nah, we're gonna make a sneaker for Pogba. We're gonna make a sneaker for Messi. We're gonna make a sneaker for Ronaldo.
Yeah. I mean, Pogba now I think deserves one. Neymar 100%.
So-
like these guys are guys that transcend they transcend just the sport. They're culturally they're fashion icons.
They
I think
are.
that they should. Someone at Adidas or Nike hit my line like if this is idea, we'll fund our show. I don't know what to do, but it's ridiculous that they don't have just a regular shoe that you can wear just casually.
Like the Paul Pogba sneaker somehow, like I don't know,
Yeah,
do something and just like brand it. It was like at first like I hated the like LeBron James logo, but the more and more I think about it, it looks sweet. It's a crown. It says
it's
L.
dope.
It just looks really cool. Like
Yeah.
it's just
Well, his kicks have progressed more and more to being more like fashion now.
yeah.
If you see the lifestyle, I used to actually own a pair way back in the day that were just like I would never wear them out. They were hideous. But this was when I used to that one season I played basketball in my life. Um, I had them, but like they weren't. Now you look at anything on the Nike site for LeBrons, you could wear them.
You rock them with anything. You could rock them on the court. You could rock them anywhere. And so I think that's where.
It's crazy.
And we see a lot of brands trying to bridge that gap, but you would think it'd be so much easier for Nike and like Adidas to do it, because Adidas is doing a lot of that kind of stuff with stylish clothing, things like that. Why not make that next step with signature sneakers, not just signature like cleats? Think about it. You could sell Paul Pogba, like the Paul Pogba, the red ones that you had, like those sold a ton.
Oh, yeah.
And the Predators, he's now like the face of Predator, which is crazy. So that's gonna kind of be his signature. But why not take it and be like, let's make some signature sneakers for him.
Yeah.
Get double the sales.
That aren't necessarily connected to the cleats.
Right, make them their own style, make
them
them fresh, and that way you're bridging that gap that you already do with basketball. That you already like they already do that stuff with other sports. You know what I mean?
I think
So
it's just a matter of time.
you think so?
I think so.
But I mean, it's kind of cool to see like wrapping this up between Paul Pogba, Neymar, Balon D'or, because you know a lot of people put Paul Pogba and Neymar into that. I mean, Neymar's finished third. What 3 times now?
2 or 3.
And actually, there was a couple years he finished second, and some people, well, you know, I don't know, maybe not second, but like he's finished third several times in the last 4 years since he's been at Barcelona. So everyone knows the man is incredible.
That's what I'm saying. I think this year with the World Cup, with the Brazil team that's focused around him, I think that it's really honestly.
And the PSG team that he took by the balls and getting into fights with Cavani about.
It's his to lose, honestly, because he's had a ridiculous season with PSG already.
Oh yeah.
So I think.
I mean, because that's the thing about PSG.
Per game per minute is by far like elapses everyone by
right
a huge sum.
So what I think is funny in terms of PSG, ever since they got bought out by oil money, they have had phenomenal teams every year, and I'm pretty sure there was you can ask our buddies like I'm pretty sure I've predicted that PSG is going to win the Champions League 3 times, and they never get close because their team just never had that guy, right? They never had that that thing, and so. PSG is the perfect stage for Neymar to have gone to. You know what I mean? Sure, it's not, there's lots of things that have gone wrong, and like there's a lot of it's being very well publicized, all this crap. But if he can manage to win with PSG, that just creates such like he took them from here to here, and I think that's enough for him to be seen as the best in the world. Because if you could take a team that's really, really good and you add yourself to it, and all of a sudden you're like, nah, we're winning everything. That's where it kind of comes into play.
Yeah. But all right, I think we've had enough of Balon D'Or talk. Let's move on to another it's a nice segue from fashion to fashion.
Yeah.
Talk about Umbro and Guerrilla FC. So for anyone that doesn't know, Guerrilla FC is this kind of street guerrilla soccer.
They call themselves a collective.
Yeah, they're not. I was gonna say club, but they're not a club. They have I know they have a club, but they play in like a men's league that we play in.
And so
they're not. They're a club, I guess, but they're more of a.
Like a creative collective.
Yeah, they're more of a creative, artsy type of take on soccer, and they've been coming out with some crazy cool concept jerseys for a long time.
Well, they've been on our radar for a little while.
Yeah,
for over a year, we've been kind of following them, and every time they release something really cool, it sells out because we always try it. Wait, you tried to buy some, right?
No, I've never tried to buy anything from them.
I've tried to buy a scarf from them, and I couldn't.
And it didn't do it. Oh, that's what it was. And so
Really?
They do a lot of really.
This was a few months. This was probably last year, really around this time.
So what do we think? It's just low numbers, low quantity?
They must
Probably low quantity.
but at the same time, it's just high. It's high demand because the stuff is really cool.
But yeah, so they just came out with
for $55, bro.
Yeah, so they just came out with a new collaboration with Umbro, and this jersey just looks amazing.
So this is their second collab with Umbro because their last collab with Umbro really blew my mind.
Yeah.
I like the simplicity of this new kit, but I want to, I don't think I like it as much as the last one. So we'll throw this up in the video for you guys to see. I'm going to point at something. We'll do it here. And the last one they came out with, I think I liked a lot more than this one.
For those of you that are watching this or listening to this on podcast, we'll obviously have the links to everything
in the show notes.
So no worries there.
Which one? The Mamba kit? Did you like that one?
It's a black one.
Or this one? Or maybe they since
that
taken
one's
it off.
That one's their first
That's
one.
their official match, then the Mamba, and then they have the Umbro 2018.
So I like, don't get me wrong, I actually really loved all the detail they put into this new one. I think it's really, really sick, and it makes for a very nice lifestyle kit top. It's really, really cool. It has like really awesome things. And I'm not, by no means am I saying this is
Sorry to
bad.
interrupt you, but this is the second jersey now I've seen come out with the all-white patch on an all-white jersey.
Which is really cool.
Monochromatic is very cool.
I
Yeah.
remember that other one that we were looking at. Maybe I'll try to find it after the show, but this I actually love this all-white
So
patch with the white top.
So basically where we can take this conversation is first of all, the kit is just sick, and they're really, both Guerrilla FC and Umbro, they're taking a lot of this whole thing where it's like lifestyle and soccer and really trying to blend it together to make something more, right? And so Guerrilla FC, like we said, they've been on our radar for a little while. They always come out with really cool stuff. Like that's like their like mission, right? And so what's really interesting is Umbro. Their story is very interesting. They are a company that was, they're a classic English company. They were super synonymous with soccer for super long. The pinnacle of the sport. And, of course, they lost out to Nike and Adidas. What happened to them was Nike bought them, and then it died. For like a year and a half, Umbro did nothing. They didn't do anything. Then Nike sold them. I don't know to whom or to what, but they then are now on the rise. They started to see that they can't compete with Nike and Adidas. They lost their place years ago.
They've started taking over more of the homegrown, small business,
local clubs.
The local clubs that are trying to make real impact, both style-wise for their kits, but also just kind of trying to get an artistic vibe for their. So they've done collabs with
Urban Outfitters.
They had the Bowery FC, which to me has some of the nicest jerseys for the Bowery League. So they've had some crazy collaborations. They've also been working with a lot of the lower league teams like Salford City FC, which is a team owned by a lot of the class of 92 United players.
Which is like Phil Neville, Gary Neville, right. Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes.
So they've been taking over. So if you go on their website, you can go through and you might know maybe one or two teams on their site that they actually sponsor and have jerseys for. The rest are all smaller teams, lower league
These
teams.
Kind of like creative collectives, right. And more
Crep
like
City. If you guys ever heard of Crep City?
Yeah, Crep City, I've seen that.
So they do a lot of stuff with like that, like the more creative side of lifestyle and more of these smaller teams that are on the come up.
Yeah.
So Salford City, they've won promotion 3 times over the last 5 or 6 years, something like that. So they're on the rise, and especially because they're funding a stadium, getting all these renovations for their lower league thing. Salford's right outside of Manchester, and so they're on the rise. And their goal, Gary Neville and that group said that they want to get them to the Premier League, and so I think that it's smart for Umbro to be betting on these smaller teams with a lot of. They're very fashion forward. The things are fashionable, and it's cool. It's modern, and I think that it's really cool of them to be going that route.
Yeah, and we definitely see a rise on the more fashion forward. The Providence City with the Joma and that whole kit blew up. Blew, that it's taking a more rooted approach. I think they try to blend in a lot more of the actual culture. That's because once you get more commercial, obviously they try to appease to everyone with the designs that they come out with.
So they don't take risks.
These are very much more niche, more influenced by the culture that they're from. There's a lot of input from the people from the specific area behind them, so it feels very homey, very fan driven,
and it feels like they put a lot of attention to detail, considering they have on the left side of the sleeve there's hash marks from an Italian philosopher who wanted to change the world through culture.
Wow.
And on the back there's acrylic font which is Russian, and it reads phonetically as Guerrilla, which pays homage to the Olympics coming up. And then
that's pretty cool.
But yeah, I think in the camouflage they use this really cool vinyl like camouflage that isn't typically it's like a leaf camouflage, but it's an all white jersey with like metallic leaves, and I think that with that you can see the artistic side of soccer and like the more streetwear oriented side of soccer is really becoming incredibly popular.
Yeah.
So Umbro is on like the cutting edge with this collaboration,
which is good for them because it's like I said, I think that it's kind of getting not back to just the roots of like who they are, but also getting back to the roots of soccer. It's understanding that the lower league teams are what keep soccer going.
Right. It's that kind of supporting a team that might not ever win shit, but
that's your team.
That's my team. That's my local club. So I support them. Yeah,
for the culture, for the love of the
starting there. I think that it's still more commercial with the whole Kith collaboration that
Yep.
they did. But they're trying to kind of pull that in more.
But they're doing it on like almost like a higher level.
And it's still, although it does pull, it's more colors. The styles are still the same. It's still
Yeah.
that, like every top will be the same pattern, just different colorways.
Right.
So it's very cool to see something super different. Some of these things, if you check out their Instagram, Guerrilla_FC, you'll see that some of the stuff is just crazy. The collaborations.
Yeah.
But to the people that they're targeting, it matters. It's important.
Well, what I love about them is that no matter what they do, soccer's always at the heart of it. You know, for them, it's a creative collective. They the things they do range from a lot of different things. You know, from fashion to, you know, they host a couple events here and there, and it's just a matter of, it always comes down to the whole basis of it. Their love comes from, you know, it's soccer.
Yeah.
And so I personally would love to get to know those dudes and hear their story a little bit more. So, you know, hit us up if you're listening to our podcast, and we could definitely set something up.
Have you ever owned Umbro boots?
I was gonna say that because my favorite pair of boots ever were my Umbros.
Really?
They this was just before they got bought out, or they got bought by Nike or whatever, and they were really cool. They were super like innovative. They had these like almost like a sandpaper type of thing on the outside boot. It basically was supposed to like help control your touch a little bit more, but they were, the reason I loved them so much is because it was kangaroo leather. It was leather all the way around, and then with the sandpaper on the outside. So I don't think I cared too much about the sandpaper part of it, but it was the fact that it was completely kangaroo leather. And like, I have synthetic boots now. I have the Hypervenoms, and they're fine. I feel the touch, but I always loved the feel of leather boots, not, you know.
Yeah, I'm in the same. I have synthetic now, and I hate them.
But since that point, I keep looking at their boots, and I love them. Everything they come out with, you know, it just like it looks sick.
Their boots kind of remind me of, not necessarily colors, but they kind of like remind me of the New Balance stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like the same kind of shit New Balance.
Yeah.
Well, so if you go up a little bit from what we're looking at now,
these leather ones that were just.
These blue ones right here, those blue and white, I love them. We'll toss a picture up. Don't worry. And they're sick. Those are the ones that I saw a little while back, and I was like, "Damn, should I splurge on some new cleats?" But then I'm like, you know, mine are still fine. There's no rip or anything, so I couldn't justify it. But they're fly.
Oh,
they're fly.
Yeah, for sure. I hope to see more collaborations. They do a lot of the Brazilian league as well.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're pretty big. And, they probably have a handful of teams in the top division of Brazil that they do. Because those teams are always looking for jerseys
and
sponsors.
You know,
switch sponsors like every.
So they have Grêmio as their one of their main sponsors in Brazil, and they just won Libertadores, which is the equivalent of the Champions League. So that's a big time player for them in their portfolio of teams.
They seem to always get some of the bigger teams in Brazil, which is cool. Maybe it's a strategic thing, or maybe it's an Umbro good luck. But
good strike of fortune, but I just think that they're doing it the right way. Hopefully they get a little bit more traction, because it's cool to see this older brand. It's a historic brand, right? I like to see it come back out on top in a different way than Adidas and Nike. You know, not every company has to do the same thing. You know, multiple companies can exist in one market by doing several different things. So right now Nike isn't doing much of anything, but Adidas is kind of killing it with the more general lifestyle stuff, but it'd be cool to see Umbro come up with these specific things that they're doing.
Yeah, let's wait and see, and we'll probably get some cooler designs out there.
Yeah, so recapping, Umbro, kudos to you. Guerrilla FC, if you're listening to this, anybody, reach out to us. We'd love to do a little we'd love to have you on our podcast. We'll talk a little bit more to you, get to know you guys a little bit, and we're very interested in seeing what you guys do.
Yeah. I think that sums it up pretty well.
That sums it up.
So, moving on. We have a funny topic.
This one was great.
Very interesting. Jozy Altidore, Toronto FC, for anyone that doesn't know, just won the MLS Cup. 2-1 win over.
Does that break our rule?
Yeah, I think we've broken our rule like at least.
This is just
this is backstory. Yeah,
it's okay.
We're not telling you who scored.
Setting the place.
They won the MLS Cup. Whatever. What we're going to be talking about is the parade and kind of celebrations afterward. Jozy Altidore gave a drunken speech in front of everyone that was there at the parade. I think at this point he was already on stage. He wasn't on the bus anymore.
Yep, he was on stage with everyone else, and they were like kind of talking to the fans.
Yeah, and this guy was just drunkenly just saying things, just kind of out there rambling, as any drunk person you've ever seen does. So funny. we'll throw that. I don't know if we'll play that over.
We'll probably
this
just
audio. We'll definitely put the link down there, but maybe throw the audio for you to listen. You have to listen to this.
It's worth the listen.
For sure.
It's so funny.
He, I love seeing players out of their element in the sense that they're like media trained so heavy nowadays. You never get.
They kind of become robots at this point.
You never get a good quote out of these guys. It's always the same shit. So it's awesome. I love seeing the repercussions of stuff when they do this too, because it seems like, I don't know, there's this crazy thing, and it's not even Jozy. Like, it seems like in every parade for like every sport out there, there's just you could just do whatever you want. At these things, you say whatever, do whatever, and people. It's almost like it's like not even reported on.
It's like Patriots. It's like the Patriots parade. How many people throw like Bud Light cans at Gronk while he like shotguns them out and just gets hammered? Or
when Marshawn Lynch was like ripping nips, they were throwing.
Oh yeah,
on the top of the bus, just going crazy. A lot of this
stuff.
Get
a free pass for the day.
Yeah, it's just like there's no laws. Like these cities just don't care because these guys are the heroes for that moment. And if you're the guy that throws him a beer and he chugs it,
you're also the hero apparently because you're helping it out.
A beer over? That's sweet. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that I've seen a few when United win their trophies. Wayne Rooney, he's usually the one that would go the craziest because he's already drunk. Like, he's, like he can't escape drinking anyways. But he would be the ones that would be like starting chants, everything anti-Liverpool because he's a Everton guy deep down, really. So he would go crazy doing the anti-Liverpool chants. I remember seeing a video of Theo Walcott just flipping people off, going crazy when I think it was an Arsenal in the FA Cup. He was doing funny stuff. I'm trying to think. There's other ones. I'm trying to think. I have like a vivid memory of someone on Bayern doing something funny, but I can't think of it. But it's just funny to see these guys kind of
relax and also
chill, just being normal.
Yeah.
And not being that.
Well, because during the season, anything you do, it gets heavily reported, and like, you know, you're the worst person ever. But like, and like you said, anytime they do like an interview, it's always the same robotic response. You know, I still don't get why journalists have jobs if they go to interview someone.
Everything,
you know, because it's always the same. Same thing happens in every sport. You see it in the NBA too, where like coaches just respond to the same thing. You ever see?
It's more like the coaches can get away with saying whatever they want.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones that are kind of like Mourinho's a dickhead to journalists. Yep. Klopp over the weekend was a dickhead to all these coaches. They kind of get away with it because they're the big.
Well, that's the thing. It's almost like, you know, it's such a weird situation. They just learn to play it. It's like Bill Belichick. Anytime everyone's ever seen a press conference with Bill Belichick, he only responds to what he wants. And like, I get it. You know, they want the coaches to be a little bit more open, but it's almost like, why do you still have jobs? Because like report on the shit that happens.
That's honestly why a lot of these reporters are now just doing this whole clickbait shit because they don't actually have anything valuable to put out there. Considering
anytime you see a press conference, there's 17 people writing the same thing for similar looking websites. Yeah. You're just trying to get people to click on your shit. You know what I mean? You're not putting anything of substance, really. You know, that's why, like, you know, journalism is hard. I'm not saying that journalists don't do a good job, but it's like some of these people, man. It's just like
they have to it's their living, so they have to make the best out of like
what
they get from the players and from the.
But then it becomes something more than it
boring shit. They have to kind of sell it some way or one way or another. But.
Bringing this back to Jozy Altidore though, funny story. My cousin Marcelo played youth soccer with Jozy Altidore.
Really?
They're both from Boca. Yeah. And that's cool. Marcelo played. I guess he said he used to play center back, and he had to play against Jozy Altidore, and he said that he got manhandled by Jozy Altidore.
I can imagine him as a kid was probably.
Well, he's massive now.
Of anybody else.
Yeah, Marcelo said he was huge.
Was Marcelo still, or was he
slightly smaller?
Marcelo,
but Marcelo was like 13, I think, something like that, in that range, and like he just got manhandled by Jozy Altidore. So that's our.
I mean, these guys.
Sorry, Marcelo.
But I mean, these guys. They're athletes from a very young age. Like you can tell them apart from. Yeah. That's.
I always liked Jozy Altidore. He gets a lot of flack from U.S. soccer fans, but I never understood it.
Where did he play in England?
Played in Sunderland.
He didn't get that much playing time, but
but that's most American soccer players in England don't get.
When he kind of blew up, when his kind of resurgence came as a player, I really liked him. I thought he was like the next that whole U.S. soccer thing. I thought he was the next guy. He was Jozy Altidore. He was the striker of the future.
And the problem is, I think that expectations were so high for him that he's done fairly well. He's been a good forward.
Now that he's come back to Toronto, he has a team that's good. he's been able to kind of sit back. He has Giovinco. He has
Michael Bradley.
Michael Bradley there to kind of. He doesn't have to be, and he's at the tail end of his career where he's kind of just enjoying the football more and not having to deal with the pressure of being the star player. But it's cool to see him drunk
at a parade. Fun times.
Guy.
He's a funny dude.
Yeah, I think that's it for the main topics today.
Yeah.
I think we're all good, so it's time to move on to our favorite
All
segment.
right, B. What is it?
Celebrity fans and their favorite clubs.
So this week, who do we got, Lou?
This week, our celebrity fan is
Kobe Bryant.
So this is cool because Kobe is actually a really interesting celebrity fan because he actually became a Barcelona fan when he had to go do an advert with the Barcelona team overseas, but he actually always loved soccer. If for anyone who doesn't know, he was born in Italy and grew up in Italy for a little while, so he did get to.
Kobe was?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think his father was in the military. Some branch of the military. So he grew up in Italy, and he basically loved soccer from a young age. But then what happened was he was a big Adidas athlete, Messi, big Adidas athlete. They did a series of commercials over in the late 2000s, and he actually ended up being he became a legitimate Barcelona fan, and he.
It seemed like every summer since that he's gone back
to Barca. Yeah, and he goes to games regularly to the Camp Nou.
There's videos of him juggling with Messi, multiple videos of him over the years juggling with Messi.
And it's moved past the point of advertising. It's just like they're just hanging out at this point.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's actually a pretty good juggler too.
Yeah,
for a guy his size.
He's a pretty vocal supporter of soccer. There was a story of him and Dirk Nowitzki, I think, just actually hanging out and watching soccer together, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Dirk, want to come over and watch some soccer?
Yeah, it's cool to see him, another athlete, expand into that world and kind of. I mean, he's a very cultured man in general.
Of course, but it's that whole thing. It's like soccer's so wide-reaching.
Yeah,
such a big world phenomenon that like.
It's cool to see him at awe of another player that is. Bigger than him. I mean, Kobe is a huge player, but Messi, I think, in my eyes, is obviously a much larger player globally.
Yeah.
Kobe became that, but Messi, Ronaldo.
Just by nature of soccer being bigger than basketball, it's
cool to see these players kind of at awe, and because you don't really see the opposite way of like the soccer guy being at awe of a basketball guy because it's not as globally watched.
Right.
So they know them.
Of course.
But they don't necessarily know, like Neymar and Draymond Green being friends. They are like always together whenever Neymar.
Despite the fact that Neymar can't speak
English, first of all,
or understand
but
English.
I bet you Neymar has no idea what like Draymond's game is really.
Yeah,
he's just there because he probably knows the Golden State Warriors because they have Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, but. These guys don't know what these guys
are. Like. Well, I think the only player that really knows it is like Antoine Griezmann. He's
a big fan. He came to the U.S. this summer and went to
he was in Boston, and I'm pretty sure you and I were talking like, dude, we got to go find him.
Yeah.
We got to go find him.
Funny,
but he went to a Celtics game. I think he went down to he went to a New York Knicks game.
Yep.
I want to say he went to a Miami game because I feel like he was just in Miami. He definitely went to a Lakers game. I feel like he was all over the U.S.
Yeah.
He probably went to all the major.
He's been doing so. So I was on Instagram yesterday, and one thing that I've been seeing, I think he's being sponsored by the NBA because he's been posting a lot about the NBA on Instagram. So there was a little advert that was about. It was in French too, like the writing on it, like this animated writing popped up, and it was in French talking about the NBA, and it was on Antoine Griezmann's like Instagram account. So I'm like, this man really loves basketball, and to the point where the NBA is trying to expand outside of the U.S. So they're like. Let's get the biggest French athlete we can think of that loves our sport, and let's help him out. So I think it's
cool to see these guys mesh with different sports.
Mingle. It was like was it Neymar that got a signed Kyrie jersey, or was it the other way around?
Neymar got a signed Kyrie jersey because I actually saw Neymar wearing it in his like Instagram.
Yeah, which is sick, and like despite the fact that like. Pretty sure they can't communicate.
No,
you know what I mean?
I love that. I want to do a whole show on that, on just Neymar being friends with these guys.
It was like the complex episode. It was like the complex episode with Neymar.
No, he did a whole complex episode where he went and bought sneakers. He bought I think he's bought the most complex I've ever seen on the show. He bought like $23,000 worth of sneakers. he couldn't even answer the question. It was all like the guy would speak to him in English, and then Neymar would respond in Portuguese, and they do the translation. So, how are you friends with Draymond Green? What do you guys talk about?
I don't know. I don't get it.
Hey, what's up? It's me, Neymar.
What's his face? Lewis Hamilton. Like,
Oh yeah,
that's probably one of
and
his
that's another
closest
one.
celebrity friends.
Yeah,
What are they talking about?
I don't know.
Do they just
get hammered together?
They type it into their phone and they
The
just
translation
Google
thing?
My whole thing is okay. Let's say this: Neymar, Lewis Hamilton go out to the clubs in London. What goes on? What happens? What do they have a
Live.
third? Do they have a third buddy? Do they have a third buddy who's
At
doing the
what point-
translation?
I don't know. See,
Do they bring like David Luiz who speaks both languages and be like,
they take
hey?
their pictures. They'll
They're
post
just like,
on Instagram.
oi, yeah, we're here. Then
I
let's
don't know,
leave.
It's so funny. It's so weird.
It is weird. It's cool, but like.
It is, but it's so.
I don't know. It'd be awesome to be friends with people I could interact with, but like at the end of the day, it wouldn't make sense for me to just pick a random friend who I couldn't talk to and be friends with him because there's nothing to put together.
Yeah,
but
I
like,
just have no idea how to become
Like,
friends
you
with
know
someone.
nothing about that person, right? Unless your like translator gives you their whole backstory. But then
well,
it's
but
like,
that's why it works because they're celebrities. You can see their story in your language, but it's like when you're together, like what is it? I don't know.
Dude,
I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a deep dive on that later.
I think that's a good topic to think about. Like, yeah.
Neymar's lack of English. How does it affect the rest of the soccer athlete community? Next week on Fireside Chat.
All right, guys, that's it for this week. Be sure to contact us with any questions. Contact at Trevor.
Still waiting.
Still waiting on the questions, comments, pictures.
Give us that 5-star. Give us that 1-star.
Please, no, do not give us 1 star.
Just give us something.
Please review us if you like the podcast.
If it's an honest 1-star, I'll take it.
Yes.
But like, don't give us a 1-star because you don't like me. That's
Yes.
okay.
If you have any concerns, email us. We're super happy to get back to you. We want to communicate with more people. Review, because that means so much for us, especially for all of you iTunes listeners. It helps us out tremendously as we're growing more. We'd love to get more feedback. Love to know how we can change the podcast, improve, make something better. So hit us up.
Subscribe to us. Love us.
Subscribe to us. The video version of this, if we mentioned it a few times in this show specifically on YouTube, you can search it up. Culture FC is the title, but it's on the channel Trebleware, TREBLWEAR. So you'll find us there, and that's about it from us.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you
that
for
wraps
listening.
up 006.
Hope you enjoyed. Peace, love.
Deuces.